It's time to fire this thing up.
Welcome aboard ShipShape TV Essentials. This is your port of call for the most impactful upgrades, expert advice, and hands-on solutions from seasons past. This episode is proudly brought to you by SureHold, because anything worth doing is worth doing bright. From cleaning to protecting and perfecting, SureHold has everything you need to keep your boat shining. Don't just go boating, go showboating. Now, let's hoist anchor and set a course for another exciting episode of ShipShape TV Essentials.
If boating's your game, then you'll agree. ShipShape is the way to be. Out on the lake or on the sea, ShipShape means trouble-free. ShipShape means being neater. ShipShape makes boat work easier. ShipShape is the way to go. The ShipShape Boat Care Show.
Thanks for tuning in to ShipShape TV. I'm John Greviskis, and on today's show, we're going to show you how to properly wash down the boat after a day on the salt water. We'll talk with a professional detailer on which products work best, some tricks of the trade, how to treat mildew, bring oxidized fiberglass back to life, and how to clean isinglass. We'll also be specking out a new boat today on a segment we call What's Hot in the Water. Now, the boat cleaning tips that we're about to give you will not only save you time and money, but are also all great ways to make your boat shipshape.
ShipShape, America's favorite boat improvement show, is being brought to you in part by
Copcoat Marine Group, makers of Pettit, Woosley, and Z-Spar marine paints. And by Johns Pass Marina, on the water since 1964. And by Mermaid Marine Air Conditioning. It's cool to sleep with a mermaid. And by we now return to ShipShape TV.
Welcome back. Let's get right into showing you how to properly wash down the boat after a day in the saltwater. With us today is a professional detailer who has a very successful detailing business in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Her name is Patricia Atkinson, owner of Kaiwahine Marine Services. Patricia, can you give us the proper techniques in washing down a boat?
John, the most important thing is the brushes that you use. You don't want to use a brush like this, which comes with most packages, because it's so coarse and hard and abrasive, and it can damage your fiberglass.
Now, this is the brush that a lot of the kits come with.
Yes, it is.
And this brush is bad?
Unfortunately, yes. People use this on their fiberglass, on their isinglass, on their canvas, and if you get up close and look, there's going to be scratches from all this coarse brush.
So coarse nylon brush leaves scratches.
Leave it at home.
No good. Okay, what do you recommend?
I recommend brushes by SureHold. They're a little more flared, they're a lot wider, and they're much softer, as you can feel. There's several different brushes. This is the finest. This can be used on isinglass, on canvas, on fiberglass. This one is a little harder.
This is more for your decks and...
More for your decks and your fiberglass, but you feel it. It's still soft. It can't hurt anything.
What soap should we use?
Well, first I'd like to go into what we shouldn't use. One of the most important things not to use is dish soap. It's good for taking grease off dishes, but it will also take the wax and the shine off your boat. Another thing you don't want to use, you want to stay away from, is soft scrub.
Okay.
A lot of people use soft scrub.
A lot of boaters use soft scrub.
A lot of them.
Now, you're telling me that this is bad for the boat?
Oh, it ruins the finish. It absolutely ruins the finish. It's too harsh, it's too abrasive. You should be using something much milder with a nice soft brush, a nice mild soap. Do the trick.
Give us some examples of some mild detergents.
Boat soap is a very good boat soap. Orpine is a good boat soap. Boat Leaf makes a good boat soap. Just stay away from the dish soap and the soft scrub.
Now, which one are we going to be using today?
Orpine.
What do we do first?
Okay, first you start by rinsing off the boat with fresh water and filling a 5-gallon pail with soap and water. And you start washing from the top and work your way down. They tell you on the boat soap to use a capful, but it's never enough. Use a little more. Okay, you mix the soap in. You always want to start on the top of the boat when you're washing. Start from the highest level and work your way down. Let the gravity work for you, not against you. Okay, John, the most important part to remember when you're washing a boat is to wash the boat and rinse the boat in sections so the soap does not dry, leaving a residue.
After we rinse the boat, is it recommended that we chamois at this point?
Absolutely. The best time to chamois the boat is after you wash it, to remove any unwanted water spots and also to do a check of cleaning that might need to be done afterwards.
And we'll get into those procedures right after we spec out this new boat. Let's have a look. I'm on a 1997 Grady-White 208 today at world-famous Johns Pass Marina with sales manager Bill Hart, who's going to give us a guided tour of the boat.
Thank you, John. This is Grady's 20-foot entry into the boat line. It's 20 feet 4 inches long, 8'1" beam. Dry weight on just the hull is 2,650 pounds. It's a pretty beefy boat. If you go from the bow back, you notice there's seating up there. There's seating for 8 people on this boat. A nice little cuddy cabin. You can use the boat for fishing, for skiing, just for tooling around. It's a safe, easy to maintain boat.
Grady-White has a very good name in boats. What sets them apart from the rest of the pack?
That's a good question. The difference, John, is the quality of the materials that are used and the quality of workmanship. I've been building boats for 38 years. For an example, stainless steel right next to you there, that's 316 laboratory grade stainless. It's going to look like that in 20 years, even down to the set screws, but that's twice as expensive as normal stainless. The hull on the Grady-White is 100% hand laid, hulls and decks. I mean, it's all woven, there's no chop used. You get a uniform structure and a stronger boat.
How many piece construction is it?
It's 3-piece construction. They have a hull, inner liner, and a deck, and they're all glassed together for strength.
They do something really unique with the design of their hull. Can
Yes,
you tell
John,
us
it's called the CV2 hull design. It was designed by C. Raymond Hunt & Associates exclusively for Grady. Basically what it boils down to is you start at a pretty flat 20 degrees at the transom.
Okay.
With a hard reverse chine makes the boat very stable. Each inch you go forward up the center line, the degree of dead rise rises. So when you get to where you're seated in the boat, you're over 30 degrees, which is deeper than anybody's deep be. And when you get to the bow, you're over 56 degrees.
It's really going to cut through the waves.
Cuts through the water. You don't feel the waves. They don't jar your eye teeth or hurt your back.
What kind of power comes with the 20-foot Grady?
The recommended power is anywhere between 150 and 200, depending on what you're going to use the boat for. Speed, with a 150 top speed, is the low 40s. With a 200, it's pushing 50. If you're going to ski, you'd want more the 200. If you're going to load the boat up and go fishing, you probably want the 200.
You guys recommend Mercury on that?
We are a Mercury dealer. We recommend Mercury. And they have good warranty. They back their motors up like we back our boats up.
Tell me about Johns Pass Marina. You guys have been around for a long time.
Johns Pass Marina has one owner for over 30 years. She, Barbara Goss, is fair to her customers and employees. We handle quality products, and we've been dealers for Grady-White for 18 years.
Wow. Now, where are you located?
We're on the northern tip of Treasure Island, just the south of the Johns Pass Bridge, which is east of St. Petersburg in the Tampa Bay area.
Okay.
We're easy to get to by water. Also, we're at Marker 1 Johns Pass. Come on in Johns Pass, and we have service 6 days a week, even on Saturdays.
Tell me the different size Grady's that you guys have available.
Grady builds 17 to 30 footers.
17 to 30. What's this new tiger cat that I've heard so much
We
about?
just got one in. You just saw it coming in, John. That is a neat boat. It's basically got 2 CV2 hulls under it. And catamarans are notoriously more stable than monohulls and will handle rougher water better. And that is a fishing boat outfit. That's designed for middle ground.
I'm hoping you can give me a ride in that one as well. We're looking at the 20-foot Grady-White today at world-famous Johns Pass Marina. Come on down and talk to Bill Hart for yourself. You'll be glad you did. Patricia, that was such a fun boat to spec out. What'd you think?
I thought she was beautiful.
You know, while we were away, you were telling me about chamois and how many different chamois there are on the market. The one that you really don't like is the original one. It's the cowhide leather chamois. And you were telling me that the oil in the chamois, in the leather, is actually being left behind as a residue on people's boats. And what happens when you go back and you wax it, the waxes are actually desponding or not sticking to the hull. What do you use in place of them?
Normally we use a synthetic chamois called the absorber. It works wonderfully on fiberglass, glass, metal, and it is not affected by the dirt or the grease, and it picks up wonderfully.
That's great. Right now we need to hear a word from the people who make the show possible, so please stay tuned.
Here's what's coming up next on ShipShape TV. Anthony Speckle of Miami Beach, Florida asks, what is the difference between documentation and registration, and why do lending institutions require yachts to be documented as U.S. flagged vessels? Answer coming up from Maritime attorney Gail Hawks right after these messages.
When you seriously want your expensive wax and buffing pads rejuvenated to a like-new condition, you seriously want Sure-Hold Industries Serious Pad Cleaner. Scientifically formulated to quickly dissolve compounds and waxes from all wool pads, foam pads, microfiber towels, cotton bonnets, even blended buffing pads. All it takes is adding this Serious Pad Cleaner powder to your arsenal. Serious Pad Cleaner, another answer from Sure-Hold Industries' clean and simple solutions for detailing all your toys.
Here's today's maritime law question. What is the difference between documentation and registration? And why do lending institutions require yachts to be documented as U.S. flagged vessels?
Documentation refers to enrolling a vessel under the flag of a particular country, in our case, the United States. Registration refers to licensing a vessel in a particular state. The federal statute that applies to mortgages, ship mortgages, is the Vessel Mortgage Act, and it provides certain protection for that lending institution so long as a vessel is documented, and that's why they require the vessel be documented.
If you have an idea for a show, write it down and leave it for us on the internet. Our web address is www.shipshapetv.com or by mail at ShipShape TV. Attention Project Director, P.O. Box 31561, Palm Beach Gardens, Florida 33420. Or you can fax it to us at area code 561-626-4348. Your suggestions make some of our best shows.
And now, back to the project.
Welcome back to the show. We've been showing you some proper techniques in cleaning your boat today, and we left off with some problem areas, and now we want to get into rust. Patricia?
Most of the problems caused by rust are from the hardware on the boat. People either use stainless bolts or screws in most cases, but they still do bleed with time. And then you have problems not only with the rust around the stanchions, but on the fiberglass as well.
Okay.
And they both have to be dealt with.
What do you recommend?
Usually an acid-based product with hydrofluoric acid in it, so you should wear gloves at all times because it's very caustic. But it does remove the rust from stainless, any kind of metal, or fiberglass.
Are there any household chemicals that we could use for this, Patricia?
To remove rust, you could use Snowball. But it's also very caustic, so you should wear gloves and be careful and make sure that you have a hose running at all times so that you can keep the water off the hull so it doesn't run down and strip your wax and take off your bottom paint. Whenever you're using a caustic acid, make sure you have the hose running and your gloves on.
When using any type of acid-based product on the boat, make sure that you wear proper eye protection. It only takes a splattering of these chemicals to cause serious injury. Also, wear protective gloves to keep the acid away from your skin. Now, when you're using the product on the stain, use it sparingly and only on the affected areas. Parents and grandparents, keep the barefooted young ones off the boat when you're working with this stuff. What you want to do is you want to take a small amount and put it on a toothbrush and actually scrub it into the cracks and crevices around your stanchions and cleats. Keep a hose handy, and immediately after the stain has come up, rinse it off with the hose. This product will cause damage to your bottom paints and your wax if not rinsed immediately. Next thing we'd like to show you is how to treat your oxidized gel coat. Naturally, what we're getting into are rubbing compounds, and Patricia, I was hoping you could help us determine which rubbing compound we should use on this boat.
Well, this boat is very oxidized and it's not been taken care of properly in the last, say, year or so. So you're going to need to go to a heavy-duty 3M compound, which is very abrasive. It's safe on fiberglass and on gel coat, but not to be used on painted surfaces because it's too abrasive.
So keep it away from the all grip and from the sterling.
Yes.
Now, I've heard a lot of guys have actually burned holes in their gel coat when they're rubbing out the boat. What's gone wrong?
Well, they're either using a high-speed buffer, which is too fast, and it actually burns right through the very, very thin layer of gel coat on the boat, or they're using a compound that's too abrasive and it's actually working like a sandpaper and taking the paint or gel coat off.
Well, let's give you a step-by-step of how to actually do a rub out. Wipe the compound onto a small area with a brush or rag. Next, work the material out towards the edges to your work area. What you're trying to accomplish here is the removal of a thin layer of gel coat. This will expose fresh gel coat that has not yet been damaged by the sun. Now we'll wash the entire area with fresh water. Chamois the area and apply the wax. When you're applying the wax, make sure that you're following the recommendations the manufacturer supplies. I personally like the Teflon waxes that are out there, making the boat nice and slick. Teflon waxes are more expensive, but well worth it. Patricia, can you show us how to deal with mildew on vinyl or canvas?
Sure. There's an ever-growing problem in South Florida with mold and mildew on canvas, on vinyl, on leather, and it stems from the fact that the moisture in the air gets trapped under the canvas or on the seats and isn't dried properly once the boat is cleaned, if it is cleaned, and all these little mold and bacteria fungus grows, and the best way to get rid of it is with some biodegradable chemical called Simple Green, or if Simple Green is not available, you could use a Spray 9 or a Tough Enough. Just use a little stiff brush, put it right on the area where the mildew is, and spray it off, and you're done.
I know a lot of boaters have used Vaseline to lubricate their snaps, but I've got something a little bit better. Get yourself a tube of chapstick, open it up, and it fits perfect. Over your snap, pull it off, and you're done.
Ship Shape TV will be right back.
When it's time to clean up those nasty, dirty, grungy dock lines, then it's time for you to pick up today the new rope and cord brush from Surehold Industries. The adjustable, flexible design easily wraps around ½ to 1 inch, twisted or braided ropes, power cords, garden or bilge hoses, even your stainless steel rub rails. Use the might of this new brush with the cleaning power of Surehold's SMC cleaner. Simply soak, then brush, sparkling clean. So get scrubbing today.
We now return to Ship Shape TV.
Welcome back to the show. The next thing we want to show you is how to take care of your teak woods around the boat. Now, Patricia, what do you recommend?
I recommend Snappy Teak New. It's a 2-part teak cleaner. I don't use the brushes that are supplied in the manufacturer's kit because I feel the bristles are too hard and they actually put gouges in the teak wood. Teak has soft grains and hard grains, and the removal of the soft grains that causes a phenomenon called chattering. Instead of the brushes, I use a white 3M Scotch pad. It's the softest one of all the pads on the market. When cleaning the teak wood, I go against the grain and let the chemicals do my work rather than a brush or the 3M pad. And then I use part 2 to brighten the teak, and it's clean. Once it dries, you can either go on to follow up with a wood oil or a wood sealer, or if you like a lot of work, varnish.
Tell us how to clean our vinyl seats.
Okay, the one thing that you want to stay away from when you're cleaning vinyl seats or cushions of any kind is bleach, because the bleach can actually damage the threads in the fabric, and with time the sun will bake them away and you will have no threads left.
Well, a lot of people, they feel with the mildew, they put the bleach on and that's killing the mildew. In essence, they're killing their threads?
Yes, they are. You could use soft scrub on cushions if they're really badly stained and can't get it out with anything else, but stay away from the bleach.
Okay, so soft scrub with bleach is a big no-no.
Big no-no.
Now, what about really tough stains? Are there any tricks of the trade?
Yes. You can use Comet. The regular old household liquid Comet comes in a can, powdered form. It's like sandpaper. But if you mix it with a little water and make a paste, then you can rub it in and it won't harm the fabrics at all.
Well, the next thing we're going to look at is how to clear your isinglass, but we need to head on over to a different boat. Patricia, we've had a lot of people ask us, how to take care of their isinglass. What do you recommend?
Correct. I would recommend Novus plastic polish or McGuire's plastic polish. There's several out there on the market, but they make a polish that removes fine scratches, actually cleans it, and it's more like a wax that you put on, let dry, and buff off, so it protects the isinglass.
A lot of guys are using lemon pledge on their isinglass. Do you recommend that?
No, I do not. I would recommend that you not use lemon pledge. Have you ever seen isinglass that is all yellow and discolored and foggy? You can barely see through it. That's a result of lemon pledge on isinglass.
A lot of guys are filling in their isinglass scratches with WD-40. What do you think of that?
Not a good idea either. The WD-40 may appear to fill in the scratches initially, but all that it's going to do is run down the isinglass, actually leave discoloration on it, and stain your canvas.
One last thing I want to show you is a product that's being put out by Marine Polishing Systems called the Clear Rinse. And what this machine is for is it will actually help your hard water convert into soft. It actually filters it, and it will stop some of the hard water spots when you're rinsing the boat. One last thing, I want to head on over to West Marine and check out the myriad of boat care products that are on the market. Let's have a look. With us from West Marine is Georgia Lupo, who's one of the managers out here. And Georgia, I was wondering how many products should a first-time boater be considering when looking for boat care needs?
Generally about a half a dozen different products.
Now you guys carry literally hundreds and hundreds of these boat care products. What should that person be looking for?
He needs a good boat soap, one that's clean rinsing yet very effective and gentle. An all-purpose cleaner, one that will save them money but that they can use for a multiplicity of uses. You know, you can dilute it down for different purposes. General all-purpose cleaning, all sorts of things like that.
Now you're telling me about the importance of using a white hose. Why is that necessary?
Non-marring on the decks. The white hoses have plastic fittings which aren't going to damage the gel coat, and they also don't impart an odor to the water for potable water.
Tell me about this product that's dissolving barnacles on hulls.
It's a hydrochloric acid, but the formula is patent pending, and it actually foams and dissolves the barnacle rings, which is really great, especially for people with outdrives. They no longer have to worry about scraping the outdrives or the boot of the outdrives. They can just spray it on. People with inflatables, it doesn't damage the hypalon or the PVC.
Fantastic. Now this is something that only West carries.
Only West carries at this time that I'm aware of.
Ballpark, what are we looking at dollar-wise for buying these products?
Roughly about $150.
Great. Well, that's about all the time we have for this week's show. I'd like to again thank Patricia Atkinson as well as Georgia Lupo from West Marine. Until next week, guys, keep your boat shipshape.
Okay, John, take 33. I guess you're finest lunch again today.
Okay.
Ship is the way to be.
And speed.
How to treat
On the lake or on the sea.
how to treat mildew.
Ship shape means trouble.
Okay, and speed.
How to treat mildew.
Ship shape means
Why am I having a hard time bring oxidized.
Ship shape makes both.
I use the Snappy Teak 2. The Snappy Teak new is a two. It's a two teak, It's a two teak, two-part. It's a two-part. See, I can't even say the first word. It's a two-part teak cleaner.
Be still. 34, 38, 40.
Our web address is www.shipshapetv.com or by mail at Shipshape TV. Attention Project Director, P.O. Box 31561, Palm Beach Gardens, Florida 33420.